Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a very funny moment that happened today. I thought it was just good how Trump played it off, but you've got a reporter asking a very baiting type question, asking Donald Trump why he came to a town linked to white supremacy. He went to, a small town in Michigan, and apparently that is the same town that Joe Biden visited back in 2021. I did not know this, but Donald Trump did. You can barely hear the reporter, but you can definitely hear Trump's response. Again, she just asks him, why did you go to a town linked to white supremacy?
Who was here in 2021? Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
It's just such a good response. He just played that response so cool. We've also got other stuff, including Joe Biden coming out. I'm going to react to this video. Biden just slipped up and admitted that he dropped out of the race so the Democrats could focus on the House and the Senate seats. He knows Kamala isn't their real goal.
No, I haven't spoken to Nancy at all. I mean, look, no one influenced my decision. No one knew it was coming. What I decided to do was, I didn't want to the extent that the party thought they'd move Senate seats or House seats, that would have been the topic you would have had to cover the entire remainder of the campaign. And it wasn't worth it.
A very strange thing there. The idea that you're in a general election, Republican, Democrat, with how we are with politics, the idea that you would be influenced to drop out because the media would be covering Biden weighing down the ticket so that Republicans would also gain in the Senate and the House. Very odd. Just a weird thing to say, especially with all the so-called hype around Kamala Harris. And so he says that now it's starting to come out. The reason he dropped out was because I guess he knew he was going to lose and the media was going to cover the idea that he was going to bring down. None of this makes any sense, and it never did. Remember when Biden initially decided to drop out with the letter? They didn't see him for 6 days, and he comes out with that statement, or he does the White House press conference, whatever. It wasn't a press conference. It was just he came out, did a video that was pre-recorded, talking about why he dropped out, but he didn't say anything. So, and now he's like, well, he hinted last night, he said he was too old, but are you too old right now, or are you too old in 5 months? Because you're still technically the president. So what is this? This is how ridiculous it is. It's a sentimental thing. It's a symbolic Biden still being the president. There was clearly a deal. Nancy Pelosi has already admitted they were threatening him. It was the easy way or the hard way. They were going to do the 25th Amendment and go through that whole ordeal. It was very clear that Biden, he might have been influenced by Jill and Hunter. He probably was. He might have dropped out right after the debate without Jill and Hunter talking to him at Camp David. But it was clear that Biden, he was bullheaded. He wanted to stay in the race. He kept having his aides tweeted out that he's staying in the race, he's going to win it. You did have the Biden supporters say, remember when they said the only person to beat Donald Trump is Joe Biden? They said that like 2 months ago, a month and a half ago, when some of the Democrats were saying that Biden should drop out. He wanted to stay in, and they said, you know what, this is it. We're going to do it the easy way or the hard way. You need to get out, or we will do the 25th Amendment. That's how this all happened. So it's interesting to see them try and finagle their way around this. Like, oh yeah, so then I don't understand. So Biden is doing this, I guess, as a selfless act, that the idea that he's not running again. But then why would he still be the president right now? If he's so selfless and he admits he's too old in 5 months, or he's too old right now? This is like how does he know he's going to be too old? Of course, it's ridiculous. They knew he was going to lose. They had to act to try and keep Trump out of the White House, and that's why they did what they did. And it's just, we get no explanation from any of it. And the question to Kamala Harris would be, we see her going around to all these rallies and saying that, I know the past 3 or 4 years, now they're blaming it on the pandemic. That's really what they're doing when it comes to the inflation and everything like that. But the question to Kamala Harris is, do you really not support the Biden-Harris administration? Were you not powerful enough? Are you saying that the administration was a failure, and once you get the actual power of being president, that you're going to do better than Biden did? Because why are you coming out and saying that Bidenomics basically has not worked? And I'm guessing the answer she would give is, oh, it's the pandemic. That's the reason everything's higher. Because that's what they've been blaming for inflation. That's their new strategy. It's like before the pandemic, aka when Trump was president, everything was fine. But it's because of the pandemic. That's why all of our problems are happening when it comes to inflation, when it comes to the cost of groceries. And they admitted it. I mean, it's this weird thing. It's this awkward thing because it's not like Biden can admit, yeah, Bidenomics really hasn't worked. The cost of everything is so high right now for the middle class. It's bad. He really can't admit that. But Kamala, I guess, can, even though she's part of his administration. It's Biden Harris. The entire thing is just so weird and just well, I mean, they're the ones that say weird, but no, it is genuinely weird in terms of, and then also picking Waltz, that stumbling buffoon who's just, I mean, to me, it was very clear they wanted Shapiro and they're like, I mean, he's Jewish, he can't be picked. I honestly, and then they took Waltz unvetted. And we see him just stumbling around, and now his approval ratings have come out, and he is not liked at all by Virginia. Someone else made a really good point on X. If Kamala Harris has like a -10 approval rating in Virginia, how are any of these other polls right? And that, by the way, that was a very good pollster, Roanoke, that had that approval. So if she's -10 in Virginia, which is a more Democrat state, then this is looking really, really good for Trump. There is no doubt about that. But just Biden saying, oh, I dropped out because I was going to lose and weigh down the ticket, and then the media was going to focus on the House and Senate races, and that's not what I wanted to happen. They have to say something, right? They have to say something. No, it's because you were going to lose. They forced you out because they don't want Trump to have power. And they really don't care. They don't want, see, with them, they love democracy until it inconveniences them. It's very inconvenient that the Democrats had a primary. That's how you do democracy when it comes to the primaries. It's all the states, it's all the delegates. Biden won everything. They even made it easier for Biden to win everything by moving around which state was first. They switched to South Carolina being first to make it easier and make sure no one challenged him. Williamson, the other dude, the no-name dude, he was also in it, but they made it easier. So that's democracy. But now democracy is inconvenient because now the primaries are over. And good old Joe Biden had a horrible debate, and now Trump's up in every single poll. So it's a little bit inconvenient, but we don't care. It's the double standard again. It's like, well, we love democracy except for when it applies to us. We're just going to install someone else because we think we're going to lose, so it's fine. Yeah, but no, we love democracy. Trump's the one that hates democracy. He's only won fair and square the Republican primary 3 straight times against big-time donor money, 2 of the times with DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and Cruz and Rubio. But no, they're the ones that are going to save democracy. It's always the double standard. Then on top of that, Trump's spending millions and millions and millions of dollars going against Biden. They switch him out, and Trump loses basically all that money for nothing. But of course, no. There's no double standard. Imagine if that happened with a Democrat, how much they'd be pissed and how much anger they'd get about that. Dems deliver final insult by pushing Biden's angry, bitter speech to midnight past his bedtime. Yeah, well, to be fair, it made sense to make Biden's speech the last of the night. The problem is with these political events, they always go late. And normally when you're talking about giving someone the most eyeballs possible, you would have Biden speak at around 9 o'clock at night Eastern, because that's like the prime time, because people haven't gone to bed on the East Coast yet. The West Coast, 6 o'clock, people are done with dinner, they're home from work. If you're going to do a weeknight, but they had him, going later. And I mean, it was a really weird, bad speech that Biden had to where he rambled on to like midnight, past midnight, and was just angry and vicious. And they did not like that at all. They're trying to do the whole vibe thing. They're going to say, well, it's just one day, there's still 3 days left. They can turn this around and kind of get it focused on, we need to go forward, not backwards and all that stuff. And it's going to be like a more uppy with Waltz coming out and Kamala speaking, I'm sure. But they did not like that Biden was that angry, that mad. And again, I think a lot of this has to do with them giving Biden stuff to keep him going. A side effect is he gets very angry. And like, even when you watch he's constantly got an angry look on his face. Even when he's talking about like things that were uplifting or like, oh, look at my accomplishments. Look at this. Look at the infrastructure bill. He's like visually angry. He's like almost furious where there's like smoke coming out of his ears almost. I mean, look at that face. My God. And listen, I don't blame Biden. I think they give him stuff and it makes him like that, which is kind of surprising why they didn't do that during the debate. I think they might have roofied him, honestly. I mean, Biden looked completely done during that debate, but yeah, I mean, they kind of ruined Biden's. I mean, listen, their party is just such a mess. It really is. And the crazy thing is, I think Biden is already in California, they said. He's already left on a plane and he's vacationing now. So he's the president. He went to the day one of the DNC, which is the worst day by far in terms of speaking arrangements and everything like that. It's the first day. It's like the pregame, if you will. And then he leaves right after day one. He's the current president and the leader of this party. And so he goes to vacation as the DNC is going on while he's the current president. I mean, again, I think it's just like a symbolic thing. Everybody knows Biden's not doing anything at this point, but he's technically the president, I guess. They have to keep up that charade. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.